Hello lovely friends, here's a sneak peek of today's Galaxy fluid art piece. Just before I start, here's a sneak peek of the colours. I just want to say thank you so much to Travelling Tramps and Simply Net. They're wonderful members. Thank you so much for encouragement. And I want to give a special shout out to Aishu from Aishu's Crafty Kids Club for an amazing step-by-step process of her drawing of Lord Ganesh recently. Go and check out her channel and the other channels too. So today I am just wanting to bring you part one of two. So this is a fluid art galaxy painting that you could just leave as it is, and part two adds spray painted planets using metallic colours and a really simple palette. And then next video, this time next week, will be part two, and that will be the spray painted planets on this piece. So I'm going to take you through step by step and show you how I painted this and why I used what I used to prepare the canvas for the planets. Okay, so the base coat, first of all, I've got Amsterdam oxide black, and that's mixed with my usual pouring medium, which is Liquitex pouring medium, gloss, and also Oetrol. You can use Floetrol. Oetrol is just a little bit thicker. Like with any of these things, you know, they vary from country to country. And that's mixed with 50% water. So I've got a nice even base here, and it's a mix that I've used right from day one on and off, and it's something I always come back to when I want to make sure I definitely get a good result. I've tried so many other things and I still do, and I come back to this. It's my favourite. It's like an old favourite, something you can rely on, you know. Okay, so I've let the paint sit overnight so they're nice and ready. If you do let them sit, you tend to get rid of the air bubbles, but there aren't air bubbles in there. This is my travelling cup today to create this galaxy-like feel. I just find the travelling cup such a great fluid art method to make this happen. This is a top of a cut down, reused bicarbonate of soda bottle, and you can use whatever you like depending on how big you want the spout. I quite like an access to the paint, and I wanted to have something nearer to the canvas. A lot of my travelling cups tend to be higher, in other words a greater distance from the canvas. So this is the first time that I'm using one which is about 1.5 inches tall, and you can cut it down as thick or as thin as you like. So you can see that I'm layering the paints. I'm using a really simple palette. I've just got my titanium white, which all of the Amsterdam paints act as a bit of a cell activator, so that's a bit of an encourager. The metallics I find act as a bit of a cell activator, but I've used no active cell activator. That's a bit of a tongue twister. I've not actively gone to make a cell activator in this. Okay, so I've got my gold, copper and blue. They're the basic layers, and you can see how I'm layering it with white in between. Not in between every colour, but in between the metallics and the iridescence. But I'm going intuitively really, and you can layer it in whichever way you like. You just have a slightly different outcome. So the next part is literally travelling the cup. So I gently pick it up, tiny bit, just so that the paint has contact still, and I move it really gently until all of the colour has come out, and I'm continuing to swirl because there'll be a tiny bit at the bottom of the cup just to create that shape. Can you see the cells already? Look, part of that comes from the natural cell activators, and part of that comes from how I'm moving the paints. I'm going higher and lower very slightly as I move across, and that then had that impact of creating cells. So I'm now going to be tilting the canvas and just making my design really. So as I tilt, I'm looking and thinking, what do I want to keep, what don't I want to keep? This for me is one of the most perfect fluidity paintings. In other words, it's exactly the fluidity that I like without being too thin, so you can see the canvas through the paint, and without being too thick that it's harder to move around. So I'm just really enjoying moving the paint in this way and just thinking, how do I want to keep the pattern? How do I want to move it around? What shapes am I wanting to form? And I'm finding a couple of bits in the painting, but as you can see, as I use my palette knife, I actually created a bit more of a pattern, which I quite liked. So I'll definitely do that again, although I don't like having lumps in my paint. In this one, I didn't filter it. I do almost every single time. So that's something you might want to consider when you're doing your painting. And this light, it was a really bright day, so that black's looking quite grey, isn't it? But it's oxide black, it's straight black if you like. So I'm tilting it really nice and gently, wanting to stretch out the design even more, because I've got the copper and blue on one side just how I like it. So now I just want to stretch it right across the canvas. And I'm pretty much there. So I'll just leave you with the music for a moment and I'll come back towards the end to show you the dried result. So I literally just made sure all the edges were okay, got rid of any extra paint underneath using a palette knife, and then I let it to dry. So I'd love to know what you think. I'm also going to be showing in part 2 how I transform this painting, this fluid art painting with some very, very simple colours, into a galaxy painting with spray painted planets. So if you'd like to see that, look at these cells, they're beautiful, aren't they? Can you see the spacey feel? So you could leave it as it was. Well, it's lovely as it is. I had to debate whether to do it or not. So thank you so much for being here. If you want to see part 2, this is part 1. I'll be showing it in about a week's time. Don't forget, your art is a piece of you. And I just appreciate your support and love so much. Thank you so much. Please subscribe, like or share. And I hope to see you again soon. Take care now. Bye.